Hey guys, it's Tiffany Lyn, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about what I learned while I was traveling abroad by myself. So for those of you who don't know, I spent this past summer in Colombia for 3 months. I was doing a study abroad program there, but I went and I didn't know anybody in the program. I had to find my own housing. I had to sort of explore the city on my own. I was very much alone. And seeing as how it was my first time outside of the United States, I feel like I learned quite a bit about myself and about other cultures and just about traveling in general, so I thought I would share all of that information with you guys here. So the first thing I learned is that gender matters. Of course, this is going to depend on the place that you happen to be visiting, but in Colombia in particular, Bogota, where I was staying, people were so surprised that I was a woman traveling alone, and they were very, very protective of me. So men and women alike would come up to me and be like, "Really? Are you really traveling by yourself? Are you sure you want to go out at night alone? It's not really a good idea." But I never really had any serious problems. I mean, I never got attacked or mugged or anything like that. I did have issues with some of the soldiers flirting with me or like taxi drivers flirting with me. So even though my gender didn't really impact me negatively, it was something that I definitely needed to be aware of and take appropriate precautions while walking through the city alone at night, for example. The other thing I want to say is that I'm sure that men also have certain sort of like expectations set for them or certain issues while traveling that affect them in particular, but of course I am not masculine or a man, so I don't really know what those would be. So if you're a man watching this video, please tell me what things you have to think about while traveling, specifically because of your gender. I'm curious. Another thing that I learned is that the best way to get to know a city is to just get lost in the city, and this is unfortunately something that can be more dangerous when you're traveling alone, especially as a woman. But I found that as long as I was doing it safely and I kind of knew how to navigate myself around the city, that I could just walk down random streets and really find myself in a completely new place with new things to discover every single day. And that's really how I got to know Bogota the best. The other thing I learned while I was abroad is that even though I expected to get to Colombia and think that everything was completely different, there were a lot of things that were really the same. And so it's so fun to kind of compare your culture or your home to these new places that you're visiting and see what things are not only different, but also what things are very similar. And then once you identify those things, any friends that you make from that country really, really enjoy listening to the things that you find different or similar. Just recently, one of my Colombian friends texted me and he was like, all Americans have wooden porches with steps up to their front doors. And I was like, what are you talking about? And that's not true. And then I started looking through photos and I was like, wait, that is so true. When was the last time you saw a house in America without a front porch? It just doesn't happen. And he was like, in Colombia, nobody has porches. So yeah, it was those kinds of funny differences that really made my trip fun to talk about with both American friends and Colombian friends and people in between, because you find people who are not from the country you're visiting in the country you're visiting as well. So speaking of friends, I made some of the greatest friends in Colombia. I made friends both at my job because I was working there for a little while, and I made friends just randomly who I met on the street. And I'm so happy that I got to meet them. Something that I didn't realize about myself until I got to Colombia is that I kind of have trouble making friends. I think a lot of people have trouble making friends. And so being in a new country by myself really pushed me outside of my comfort zone and allowed me to practice these skills, like friend-making skills, which I guess you're supposed to develop when you're in elementary school. But as you get older, it becomes harder and harder and harder to do things like that. So not only did I make some amazing friends, but I got a lot more comfortable in sort of strange social situations where you're not speaking your native language, situations where you don't necessarily share the culture or customs of the person that you're speaking with. And that was a really cool thing to learn, because I think it's a skill that's going to help me through many situations in life, not just when I'm traveling abroad. Plus, if you make friends from the country that you're visiting, they can show you really cool things and take you on fun trips that you may not have visited before, especially things that are not really touristy, One of my favorite trips in Colombia was going to visit just a random farm. One of my friend's relatives had a farm like right outside the city, and it was so beautiful. We just got to walk around and play with the animals that were on the farm and eat some traditional Colombian food. And it would not have been possible had it not been for the friends that I met while I was there. And finally, maybe the most important thing that I learned while I was in Colombia was things about myself. Because I was traveling alone, I was spending a lot of time by myself, and you don't really in your day-to-day life learn so much about yourself unless you're actively studying it. So I took the opportunity while I was in Colombia to practice some things that I had wanted to start practicing for a long time. I tried to do a lot more self-reflection and be more grateful and practice mindfulness. I went vegan over the summer, something I've been trying to do for years and years and years, and I finally started in Colombia and I'm still going strong. I found out what I like and what I don't like. I had a little bit of an existential crisis and was trying to figure out really what I wanted to do in life, and I am 100% sure that that would not have been possible had I been traveling with other people. It was entirely due to the fact that I was spending quite a lot of time alone, and so I had all of this extra time to spend on me. And so to sum up this video, I would say that if you're considering traveling abroad and you want to do it by yourself, definitely go for it. You learn so many amazing skills, you meet great people, you learn about the city, and you also are definitely going to learn about yourself. Just make sure that you do it in the safest way possible, because no matter whether you're a man or a woman or somewhere in between, traveling to a foreign country where you don't necessarily know the culture or the language or anything about that place can be potentially dangerous. So let me know in the comments below where you guys have traveled to, if you've ever traveled alone, and what you learned while you were traveling to wherever you traveled to. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos about being a minimalist in a materialist world, and I will see you in the next one.